Hello, Dr. Nick here, continuing on with this series, The Wonder of Sleep. Today's episode is about how sleep cleans the brain. An interesting concept, and when you think of how the brain only weighs about 5% of your total body weight, but can use up to 20% of your total body stores, you can imagine that through the use and production of such an amount of energy, there will be leftover waste products. Now, a couple of these waste products you really want to get rid of every time you sleep. So one of those is a protein known as tau protein. Tau protein causes neurofibrillary tangles. Try saying that one after a couple of beers. Neurofibrillary tangles cause tangles within the fibers of the neurons to the point where these fibers can break down, leading to the breakdown and destruction of some of the neurons within your brain. And of course, you don't want that to happen. The other protein that's often left behind after a day's work is called beta-amyloid protein. A lot of people will have already heard of that because it has quite a name for itself. Beta-amyloid is a sticky substance, almost honey-like, and it builds up in between the gaps between neurons called synapses. These synapses are the little gap where one neuron can release a transmitter substance across that little gap to the next neuron to help communicate messages. But of course, if they get blocked up with this beta amyloid, you cannot produce the communication between those two neurons. And this happens in large amounts around the brain, and particularly when we don't sleep. So the process of sleep here, one of the main reasons we sleep is to clear some of this rubbish out of the brain. So when we sleep, there's a different type of neuron in the brain called a glial cell. Now this glial cell has a channel in it which opens up when we sleep, and it literally draws out these toxins and proteins out of the brain, takes it out of the brain and dumps it into the lymphatic system of the body, which then goes around the blood circulation and gets filtered out. So every time you sleep, you are cleaning out the waste, all of the bad stuff from your brain. And it just so happens you need about 1 hour of sleep for every 2 hours awake to clear out the toxins and proteins from that being awake. So years ago when my colleagues were saying get 8 hours of sleep, a lot of them didn't actually know why then, they just knew that you needed to do that. We now know through all of this extra research that 8 hours of sleep, or 7 to 8 hours at least, will clear out most of the toxins from a 16-hour day. And we've also researched it to the point where we've found that people who get less than 6 hours of sleep the following day have a fair bit of these proteins and toxins left behind in the brain, and they may do damage. Certainly over a long period of time, they can do a fair bit of damage in your brain, including causing inflammation and destroying brain cells slowly, ever so slowly, but surely. So the best way to think of this, how sleep cleans your brain, is to think, how do I want to be when I get older? Do I want to get to 70 or 80 or 90 years old and still have a pretty clear brain? Or will I let my short sleep through the night, through my lifetime, possibly dictate how my brain will go as far as aging when I do get older? So for my money, I'll sleep my 7 hours and 28 minutes on most nights, and I will try and keep the cleanest and clearest brain I can get for as long as I can live. So that's Dr. Nick for this episode. I look forward to talking to you again soon. You have a great day.